The purpose of us going to Afghanistan was to make sure that we uprooted al-Qaeda and make sure that the homeland, the United States of America, was safe from future attacks by al-Qaeda. We accomplished that. We did that. There's not been another attack on the homeland in 20 years. Then the question came forward with what we call the authorization for utilization of armed forces. What do you do then? So we thought, because we saw a horrific situation, that maybe there was an attempt to nation build. And then we had and ended up in the longest war in American history, 20 years. And what I think that it shows and that everything does not have a military option, and the military does not resolve all issues.
The hot topic of the day, as you mentioned in your opening, Tom, is of course great power competition with China. Every administration since 2000 has sought to make a, shall we call it, a pivot to Asia. This administration is no exception. And one of the principal reasons why President Biden was keen to withdraw from Afghanistan was in order to redeploy assets, both military assets, but also policymaker bandwidth to challenges associated with the rise of China. But of course, as we're already seeing in Afghanistan, counterterrorism and great power competition are not mutually exclusive. And China is using the chaos resulting from the US withdrawal in Afghanistan for its own geopolitical objectives.
Terrorism is defined in the US Code as an act of violence in violation of the laws of the US or any state. So we're talking about like violent crimes, right? That are done with the intent to intimidate or coerce the civilian population, to affect the policy of government through intimidation or coercion, or to affect things like mass assassinations. So that can be done under our law. It's considered international terrorism if it is done essentially where there is a connection internationally to a foreign terrorist organization. So something is called international terrorism in the US, even if it is committed here in the US. So the San Bernardino shootings, for example, where the shooters pledged bayat to Baghdadi, the leader of ISIS at the time, just before their shooting. That shooting occurred right here in the United States, killed 14 people in the United States, but was considered under our law an act of international terrorism, triggering the types of charges, had the shooters survived, and they did not, that would have triggered the types of charges that we also apply to terrorists overseas.
ISIS, for example, who committed that horrendous attack at the airport, are also enemies of the Taliban. They were as much going after the Taliban as they were the United States. So there's a mutual interest in sharing information to make sure that we destroy that terrorist organization. And I would hope that that would continue in Afghanistan. I think that those are the mechanisms that are being put in place that I know are being talked about with the Taliban, because we are talking with them. We're not recognizing them, but we're talking with them, which is necessary. But our regional allies also. It is designed to make us safe, but don't make the United States occupiers. And I think that the American people do not want us to be occupiers. And I think that what we've learned also is that just having your military there doesn't change things.
But 20 years on, our challenge is different. We've learned since 9/11 how to protect Americans from terrorism. It isn't fail-safe, and terrible things still happen. But through a combination of actions abroad and at home, we have thus far been able to disrupt and prevent another 9/11-style attack in the homeland. We face two intertwined challenges now. First, to counter terrorism effectively as the terrorist threat landscape evolves. And second, to integrate our approach to terrorism into the broader set of current and emerging national security priorities.